Most wars are measured in years, some in months. Today we're measuring them in minutes. This is the complete ranking of the shortest wars in history. And the number one entry lasted less time than it takes to watch this video. Ranked number 5, the Six-Day War, 1967. Duration, 6 days. June 5, 1967, 7:45 a.m. local time. Israel launches simultaneous airstrikes against Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. Within the first 3 hours, the Israeli Air Force destroyed approximately 450 Arab aircraft, most of them on the ground. Still fueled, still parked, never got airborne. Losing air superiority before noon on day 1 meant the war was effectively decided in its first hours. Israel's ground forces then moved at a speed that left Arab armies unable to coordinate a defense. Jordan lost the West Bank. Egypt lost the Sinai Peninsula. Syria lost the Golan Heights. In 6 days, the territory Israel captured in 6 days took decades of diplomacy to partially return. Some of it remains contested today. How a war that lasted 6 days is still shaping politics 60 years later. That's the real legacy of the Six-Day War. Ranked number 4, the Indo-Pakistani War, 1971. Duration, 13 days, December 3rd to December 16, 1971. The context, East Pakistan was fighting for independence from West Pakistan. India intervened militarily on the side of the East Pakistani independence movement. 13 days of fighting on both eastern and western fronts. Pakistani forces in the east were surrounded, outnumbered, and cut off. On December 16th, General Niazi signed the Instrument of Surrender, one of the largest military surrenders since Wu'tpawat. 93,000 Pakistani soldiers became prisoners of war. The nation of Bangladesh was born. 13 days, a new country created. No war in the 20th century produced a new nation faster. Ranked number 3, the Football War, 1969. Duration, 100 hours. We covered this one in detail in a previous video. El Salvador versus Honduras. A World Cup qualifier that became a real military conflict. 100 hours of actual fighting before the ceasefire. 4 days and 4 hours. The peace treaty took another 11 years. 100 hours of war. 11 years to officially end it. Proportionally, the aftermath lasted 1,000 times longer than the war itself. Ranked number 2, the Polish-Lithuanian War, 1920. Duration, 2 days, October 8-9, 1920. This war is so obscure that most history books don't mention it. Polish General Lukian Jeligowski staged what appeared to be a mutiny, taking his troops and, independently, capturing the city of Vilnius from Lithuania. The actual Polish government officially condemned this, while privately supporting it. 2 days of military action. Vilnius changed hands. The mutiny was entirely orchestrated from the top. The war lasted 2 days. The diplomatic fallout, disputes between Poland and Lithuania over Vilnius, lasted until W2. A 2-day war created a 20-year international dispute. Ranked number 1, the Anglo-Zanzibar War, 1896. Duration, 38 to 45 minutes. August 27, 1896, Zanzibar, off the coast of East Africa. The recently installed pro-British Sultan of Zanzibar had just died. His cousin Khalid bin Bargash seized the palace and declared himself Sultan, without British permission. The British didn't approve. They gave an ultimatum: stand down by 9 a.m. or face military action. Khalid did not stand down. At 9:02 a.m., British warships opened fire on the palace. Khalid's forces, approximately 2,800 men, armed with an assortment of weapons including one ancient cannon, attempted to defend the palace. The palace was made of wood. Royal Navy shells tore through it. At 9:40 a.m., 38 minutes after the first shot, the Zanzibar flag was lowered. The palace was on fire. Khalid fled through a back exit and found refuge in the German consulate. He was eventually exiled to Mombasa. Approximately 500 Zanzibar defenders were killed or wounded. British casualties, 1 sailor wounded. The Anglo-Zanzibar War lasted between 38 and 45 minutes, depending on which clock you use. It is the shortest war in recorded human history, and Khalid's argument for being Sultan, that he had a legitimate claim to the throne, was probably not wrong. He just had the misfortune of claiming it in 1896, when his neighbor was the British Empire. Timing, as they say, is everything. Honorable mention, the Emu War, 1932, duration, technically ongoing, not a war between nations, a war between Australia and emus. And Australia lost. In 1932, the Australian government sent military forces armed with Lewis guns to Western Australia to control an emu population of approximately 20,000 birds that was destroying crops. Major GPW Meredith commanded the operation. The emus, it turned out, were extremely difficult to kill in large numbers. They scattered at the sound of gunfire. They split into small groups. They proved resistant to the Lewis gun's damage in ways the military hadn't predicted. After several weeks, the operation was withdrawn. Approximately 12 emus were killed per 10 machine gun rounds fired. Major Meredith reportedly said he was impressed by the emus. If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. The emus won. Australia has never officially admitted this. The emus remain in Western Australia. The crops remain at risk. What the shortest wars teach us. Every war on this list has something in common. They were short because one side achieved immediate decisive dominance, or because the conflict was so localized that it couldn't sustain itself. The Anglo-Zanzibar War was 38 minutes because Britain had 5 warships, and Zanzibar had a wooden palace. The Six-Day War was 6 days because Israel destroyed Arab air power in the first 3 hours. The lesson isn't that short wars are better. The lesson is that decisive early action, when it succeeds, ends things faster and with fewer total casualties. When early action fails or isn't taken, you get Verdun. You get Stalingrad. You get the wars that last years and leave permanent scars on the land. The best war, strategically, humanely, historically, is the one that ends before it truly begins. Subscribe to Battlepedia for more of history's strangest stories. And comment below, did you know the shortest war lasted less than an hour? I read every comment. See you next week. One more angle worth considering. There's a misconception worth addressing before we close. Short wars are not easier wars. The Six-Day War killed approximately 20,000 people in 6 days. That's a rate of death faster than most months of WWI trench warfare. Compression of time doesn't reduce destruction, it concentrates it. The Anglo-Zanzibar War killed 500 people in 38 minutes. That's roughly 13 people per minute. The brevity of these conflicts reflects the totality of one side's military advantage, not any reduction in the violence of war itself. When we romanticize the short war, the decisive campaign, the lightning victory, it's worth remembering that someone always pays for that decisiveness. The Anglo-Zanzibar Palace defenders who died in 38 minutes experienced exactly the same thing as soldiers who died in years of trench warfare. The duration of the war didn't make their deaths shorter.